Folks, good morning. I'm excited to get on this morning. Good morning, everybody. I am excited. How come this is not working? I'm excited to get on this morning and share something that, quite honestly, is affecting 93% of us. You know, the reality is that most people don't even know that they have what is referred to as insulin resistance. And so as I share some things with you, I hope and pray that what I share helps you to avoid the same mistakes that I've made. Insulin resistance is something real. You know, look around us, look at your family, the friends that you love, maybe your own kids, maybe yourself, right? How many of us are dealing with these health issues that, quite honestly, most people just they didn't know that they had, right? And I want you guys to think about your own health as I share some thoughts with you. You know, insulin resistance, folks, is something, believe it or not. Sorry, I wanted to put that there so you guys could see some of the symptoms that people have. Okay, why is it that we are struggling with this? Okay, and I want you guys to think about your own health as I share this information with you. Are you struggling with diabetes? I am the Lord. I love it. Thank you. Good morning. Okay. And so, if you're struggling with your health in some way today, this information could change your life. And if there's somebody that you love and care about that you know that needs to hear this, feel free, folks, to share this information with them so that they could hop on, they can listen, they can ask questions. Okay. We've got a lot to cover with you. You know, as Solomon said, okay, as Solomon said in the Bible, in all you're gaining, gain understanding. And let me tell you, when you understand insulin resistance, folks, it changes everything. Okay? Changes everything. If you're eating better, right? Maybe you're exercising more, and maybe you're still struggling with your weight or energy, or maybe labs that still look normal, even though you're sick, then this live is why that's happening. Okay? So this morning, what I want to talk to you about is insulin resistance, what it actually is, why it's behind, almost every chronic issue that we're seeing, and most importantly, what you can do to fix it. Okay. If you've ever struggled with your weight or diabetes or brain fog or cravings, right? High cholesterol, high blood pressure. Okay. Stay with me. Okay. And type me in the chat if this sounds like you. Okay. This might be something that you've been experiencing. Now, folks, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Troy. I live here in Phoenix, Arizona. And I spent a lot of my time educating people on metabolic health, specifically insulin resistance, okay? Because I've seen what happens when this goes unchecked, okay? How many people do you know that are experiencing these health issues? How many people do you know are on a bunch of meds, okay? Now, this isn't about willpower. It's about understanding your body, why the things are happening that is happening, and most importantly, what we can do to start improving this. How many of you have ever been told to move more and eat less? How many of you have ever been given that advice? If that's you, if you've been given that advice, type a 1 in the chat, okay? It helps me to know how many people have experienced this, right? Move more, we call this the calories in, calories out, okay? Folks, if insulin stays high, your body stores energy instead of using it, okay? That's why effort doesn't always equal the results, right? And some of you may feel like everything you're doing is just making you take 2 steps backwards, okay? Insulin resistance, okay, Riza, good morning. Insulin resistance causes so many issues, okay? I just want you to know that diabetes just happens to be a symptom of insulin resistance, just like obesity is, just like migraines or neuropathy or PCOS, okay? They're all caused by the same thing. Okay. And what happens, folks, is your body is either storing fat or you're burning your fat, but you can't do both at the same time. Okay. The people that start to make changes, Waveland, right? Bear with me for a second. So you get. I thought somebody was at the front door. That was kind of crazy. So people who finally make changes are focusing on three areas, right? One, what are the foods that spike insulin? Okay. Number two, how often we eat. Okay. Gojo, good morning. And number three, how digestion affects blood sugar. Now, a lot of you probably have seen the new food guide, right? How many of you have seen that? It's interesting that it's exactly what I have been teaching for years, right? It's crazy to think that they're now coming out with something that, quite honestly, if you just flipped up the original one, that's exactly what it is today. It's interesting that the information that we've learned most of our life has been a big lie, right? And Lysindra, I think hopefully I said that right. Good morning and thank you for that. And so, folks, I want you guys to understand that, you know, I didn't change because I tried harder. Okay. I changed because I learned how the body actually works. And I think when it comes to insulin resistance, I think it's understanding why our body reacts the way that it does. And most importantly, what are some things that you and I can do that can help to improve our health? See, I look at my own family, right? My mom, she's 84 years old. She lives in a memory care facility. She's on a bunch of meds, and the meds are not making her better. They're actually making her worse. She's got Alzheimer's and dementia. And I wish that I knew what I know now 20 years ago, because it could have made a big impact in my parents' life. My dad would still be here. You know, I have a brother who passed away in 2005. He was 33 years old. And it happened from something that could have been prevented. And so, you know, understanding why always comes before the how, right? We've got to understand why before we can fix something. And at the end of the day, I want you guys to understand that no matter what it is that you might be dealing with that is caused by insulin resistance, it can be improved, it can be fixed. And most of us don't know that because that's not what's being taught, right? When you go to a doctor, what do? We diagnose, we treat the symptoms, that's it, right? If you, by the way, if you happen to have a doctor that is teaching you about what insulin resistance is, hold on to that doctor. Hold on to that doctor, because the sad reality is that most medical professionals are not talking about this, even though it happens to be the leading cause behind the health issues that we have today. How many people do you know are overweight or obese? How many people do you know are diabetic? How many people do you know that are tired all the time, right? Or eating food all the time? Carla Young, good morning. So, folks, my goal here is to help share information that can make an impact in your life in a positive way. And I'm gonna share three things. Okay, I'm gonna talk about fasting and why it's so why it could be an important part of your healing. Right. I'm gonna talk about fiber and why fiber is so crucial to our gut health. Okay, and I'm gonna share a tool that I've been using for 2 years now that has literally saved my life. Some of you know my story, but back in November of 2014, I donated one of my kidneys to my brother-in-law. And I'm so grateful for that day that I've been able to donate my kidney to him. And every year I was required to go and get my labs done. And it was 7 years later when I was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease. I was tired all the time. I had migraines for 23 years. And you know what's interesting is my doctor said, "Hey, Troy, you need to lose some weight. You need to change your diet. And if you're unwilling to do that, it's dialysis or worse." And so I was thinking about this and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how many people are walking around on taking this medication to try and lose weight? That's what my doctor had given me. Effie, good morning. And you know what's interesting is it didn't work. It made me sick. How many of you are taking something that your doctor has given you that's making you sick all the time? I want you guys to understand that that's your body is telling you something, right? We should always pay attention to what our bodies are telling us. It's no different than if I'm driving my car down the road and the check engine light comes on, right? We can either have somebody that's, that can look at our vehicle and can diagnose what's going on, or we just put the blinders on and we forget about it. But we know what happens when we ignore what's going on, right? There's a bigger issue happening. And folks, I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona. I love talking about this because this is something that affects 93% of people around the world. Okay. And you know what? Ben Noho, you're absolutely right. This is why I share what it is this is why I do what I do. Think about this, right? The graveyard is full of people who thought that tomorrow was guaranteed. This is why I do what I do, right? Think about, heart disease and high cholesterol and, diabetes is through the roof. And when we go to a doctor, what are they doing? Right? They're giving us meds. Meds do not fix the root cause, right? Is there anybody on here that's been told that, type 2 diabetes is progressive? Is there anybody here that's dealing with PCOS or erectile dysfunction or, adult acne, skin tags, neuropathy, right? Gout or GERD or IBS? Okay, all of these things, folks, are actually caused by the exact same thing. Did you know that? Like diabetes and migraines are caused by insulin resistance. Too much sugar in the brain of a child leads to ADHD. How many kids are experiencing focus and concentration, right? A lack of it, right? I had this when I was a kid, right? Is there anybody on here with stubborn weight, right? That no matter what you do, you just can't seem to lose it. The excess belly fat, right? How many of you can't sleep through the night or frequent urination? Everything I've just mentioned is caused by one thing. I want you guys to think about something. What if instead of chasing the symptoms with meds, what if we focused on fixing the one thing and focused our attention on the one thing that's causing all of these health issues? Like that would make the most sense. But you know what? The reality is what we're doing in our healthcare is completely the opposite. Folks, here's the part that no one wants to tell you. If I walk into a doctor's office because I've got IBS or cholesterol or migraines, and let's say that I go to 3 different doctors because I want 3 different opinions, I'm going to pay 3 different copays. And I'm going to walk out with at least 3 different medications. And not one of those even addresses the root cause of the health issues that you're having. All they're doing is managing the numbers, the symptoms. Folks, you and I could white knuckle a diet for 2 weeks and we might lose some weight. But the moment we stop that diet, what do you think happens to the weight? Do you think it stays off? No, it comes back. How many of you get on these weight loss injections? And okay, you might lose weight, but did you know that for every 10 pounds of weight that you lose, half of that is your muscle, bone, and connective tissue? How many of you feel weaker? How many of you feel like you're losing muscle and tone, right? Because of these meds. And the crazy part is our body was designed by God. Our bodies actually know how to heal itself if we just give our bodies the opportunity to do so. So why are we all struggling with this? I want you guys to think about your own health as I share this. Okay, are you dealing with constant fatigue? Are you tired all the time? Are you carrying extra weight that everything you seem to try, you just can't seem to get rid of? The migraines, the cravings, the high blood pressure, the cholesterol issues, even the fertility problems. And I am Ryan, okay? What I'm sharing can help you improve even your situation. So I want you guys to think about your own health, right? It's important to understand why we have these health issues, and more importantly, hey, what can we do to start improving it? Doctors don't teach that. What I'm going to share with you is farmers worst nightmare. It really is, right? What I'm going to teach you are things that your doctor should teach you. Here's the good news. If there's anything that you get from this live this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening, depending on where you are around the world, good morning, Fiden. Okay. Here's the good news is that you don't need meds or extreme diets to fix it. Because I'm going to share two simple, effective things that you can start doing today, tomorrow, that can help you to improve your health. And I'm going to share a tool that I use. I sip on a chlorogenic tea. I love this stuff. I don't go a day without it. It has completely changed my life. I no longer have stage 4 kidney disease. Migraine headaches that I had for 23 years are gone. My acid reflux is gone. My brain fog is gone. Anxiety, depression is gone. I'm sleeping better than I ever have. And what's crazy is I did this all without meds. You know, my doctor prescribed Ozempic and I got on it, but I got off of it because it wasn't making me better. It was making me sick. If you have type 2 diabetes, I want you guys to understand that it's not something that you inherit. It's not insulin dependent. If you're a type 2 diabetic and you are taking insulin, folks, find a different doctor. You don't have type 2 diabetes because your insulin is low. You have actually way too much insulin in your body. So the fact that your doctor is giving you more should tell you something, right? Type 2 diabetes is a carbohydrate toxicity syndrome. You don't get sick because your blood sugar is high. Your blood sugar is high because insulin is high. It's broken. This is what insulin resistance is, okay? And Linda, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. I try and explain it in a way that I would want somebody to explain it to me, okay? And Jody, hey, you are here to, learn what insulin resistance is, or keep scrolling, okay? So, folks, here's a reason why I get on here every single day. I want people to understand. I wish I knew this information 20 years ago. My dad, my brother, right? There's a chance that they would still be here. My mom, who is living in a memory care facility in Tennessee, would still be here. Folks, I do use a system and I'm going to share it. And if you want it, great. If you don't, great. There's no judgment. I'm not here to convince anybody to do anything. Okay, I want to share information in a way that I think will help you to understand. And my hope and my prayer is that what I share with you helps you to avoid the same mistakes that I've made. Okay, insulin is not something that we talk about, but I want you guys to understand that insulin is not your friend. It's your enemy. It's not your friend. Okay. Every time you and I eat, okay, especially sugar and especially carbs, what happens is it spikes a huge spike in our blood sugar. Okay. It spikes our blood sugar. And in return, it also spikes our insulin. Okay. Insulin, folks, is a fat storing hormone. Okay, when insulin is high, your body's storing fat. When your insulin is low, guess what? Your body's actually using your stored fat for fuel. Most people never tell you that, right? Because they want you eating all day, right? We're a society that eats breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we snack in between every meal. Insulin is a fat storing hormone. When it's high, you're storing. When it's low, you're burning. Risa, thank you. Okay. How many of you wear a CGM? Right? A continuous glucose monitor, right? Do you guys realize that CGMs don't manage diabetes at all? Okay. And Lindsay, it's not caused by too much saturated fat. Okay. It's caused by insulin resistance. It's not caused by anything else. Now, the foods that we eat could cause insulin resistance, right? It could cause elevated levels of insulin. But let's talk about CGMs for a second. CGMs do not manage your diabetes, and here's why. A CGM gives information, and that's it. Right? A CGM is like a breathalyzer, right? It tells you how drunk you are, but it doesn't help you to fix the fact that you like to drink alcohol and maybe too much of it, right? Information without behavior change changes absolutely nothing. And I always share this, right? Nothing changes if nothing changes. How many of you go to your doctor and your labs look normal, right? Your doctor is telling you, hey, everything looks fine, but you don't feel fine. Do you guys realize that that happens more often than you think? And so people go home and they think everything's okay. I want you to think of something. Insulin resistance, folks, is like a fire that is burning out of control in your body. Okay, just like how the smoke signals that there is a fire. The symptoms that you and I have, folks, they are the symptom. They are the smoke to the fire. Okay, and folks, we can either choose to put the fire out and the smoke goes away, or we can keep taking our water and sprinkling it on the smoke, hoping that that helps put out the fire. It doesn't. That's what our meds are doing, right? We're sprinkling water on the smoke while the fire continues to burn out of control. What's crazy, and this is the craziest thing, is that your insulin can be high for 10 to 20 years before it even leads to a diabetes diagnosis. So this fire could be burning out for 10, 20 years. And finally, your pancreas blows out, and now you've got full-blown diabetes. But the reality is you've had it for all of these years. This is why it's important to understand what is going on so that we can fix it. And Linda, I mean, I want you to think about what you just said, right? You said the doctors are not here to cure us or help us get better, right? Folks, they treat the symptoms, okay? And they do that with meds. How do they make their money, Linda? Do they make money when we eat or when we don't, right? Do they make money when you're on your meds or when you're off your meds? Okay? So this is why I do this, okay? I love talking about this. I want you guys to understand something, okay? If you put a chicken in the oven, okay, it goes from pink to brown. You can literally actually see the chicken cooking. That browning process is called glycation, which is the same thing that happens when you actually toast bread. But you know what's interesting is what most people don't realize is that from the moment that we're born, okay, the human body is actually slowly undergoing the same process on the inside, very gradually over time. This is why the cartilage in babies is white, while in much older adults, it becomes darker. That's accumulated glycation, right? Every blood sugar spike, folks, accelerates this process because glucose is what causes and what drives glycation, which is why the words sound so familiar, right? And visible signs, right? The wrinkles, the loss of tissue flexibility, right? When glucose spikes, the body responds defensively. And what it does is it releases insulin. Okay, insulin, folks, is a hormone that is designed to protect tissues by clearing out the excess glucose from the bloodstream. But what it does is it stores it first in the muscle and the liver. And when those are full, then it goes into your fat cells. This is one of the primary mechanisms behind gaining weight, okay? It's not a lack of willpower. It's a protective response to repeated insulin spikes. And over time, right, your body requires more and more and more insulin just to move the same amount of glucose. And this is what puts us at a much greater risk for health issues, okay? And this is when your cells become resistant to insulin, right? Insulin is just a hormone, okay? It's a storage. It's not, right? It's kind of like an Uber driver. It goes and it grabs the glucose out of our bloodstream and it tries to drop it off at our cells. And normally your cells would be okay with this. But how many of us have been taught to eat 3 meals a day and to snack 2 to 3 times throughout the day? Okay. Folks, 54% of our country is pre-diabetic or type 2. And chronic conditions like obesity and cardiovascular disease and autoimmune disorders, they're skyrocketing. But it's not just physical health. It's infertility, it's PCOS. Joyce, it's a trial and error, right? Let's give you as much as we can and see what sticks, right? It's like taking mud and throwing it against a wall. We'll see what sticks, what helps. But they make more money by doing that. Folks, what's frustrating is that we are often given medication for each symptom, but they don't fix the root cause, which is insulin resistance, which is why I do what I do. Now, let me reiterate this, right? Let me say something that most people don't realize. Type 2 diabetes is not inherited. It is not insulin dependent. Type 1 diabetics are insulin dependent, but type 2 is not. It is a carbohydrate toxicity syndrome, right? Insulin, folks, is a fat storing hormone. That's its job. Okay. So when insulin stays high for years, because of the sugar and the carbs that you and I eat, what happens is that your body finally breaks down. And the reality for the CGMs that people have, because they feel like it's managing their diabetes, a CGM does not manage your diabetes. They give information. That's it. Just because you go to your doctor and your doctor tells you that your glucose levels are normal, okay, doesn't mean that you're healthy. It just means that your insulin is working for now. If you're medicated but still sick, right? You're not healed, you're managed, right? Most of us are on medications, but it doesn't mean that we're healed, right? We're still sick, right? It means that they're managing your symptoms. And if this is hitting home, right, I hope that you'll tap the screen, right? Share this with somebody that you know is struggling with their health. I mean, how many of us were told that fat was bad, right? And that sugar was fine and to eat all day long, right? This is what created nonstop spikes. Okay, we didn't fill the system filled us. And folks, here's the shift that changes everything, right? You don't fix insulin resistance by eating less food. You fix it by eating less often. See, intermittent fasting, right, is something, it's not about starving, it's about metabolic repair. Who here has ever tried fasting? Okay. Linda says, my son's pediatrician told me if they don't make us bring our kids every 3 months, they don't. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I have a doctor that partnered up with me and he said he's retired now. He said there's a saying amongst us doctors. He's like, if you're dead or healthy, there's no money to be made. But as long as you're sick, right, they keep you healthy enough to need a refill on your prescription. Folks, you know what's interesting is that they changed the food guides yesterday. And you guys realize that, you know, back in the 80s and the 90s, right, we were told that 60% of our daily intake should be carbs, right? Most diabetics were told to start their day with oats, right? Do you guys know what we fatten up horses with? Oats, right? The old food guide told us this, we should have 6 to 11 servings of carbs, right? In the form of grains, breads, right? Pastas. You guys realize that turns into sugar? That's all it is sugar and carbs. And we wonder why 93% of the United States population is sick. And now they're just starting to realize this, right? And we've been teaching this for the longest time. Now, listen, folks, I'm not anti-doctor and I'm not anti-medicine. I'm anti-ignoring the root cause. Doctors test what they can medicate, blood sugar, your cholesterol, your A1C, but they don't test fasting insulin or inflammation. And why, you must ask? Because there's no prescription for insulin resistance. This is why people stay stuck. Folks, medications are not the answer. In my opinion, they should be the backup to the backup plan. They shouldn't be the primary plan, but that's what's happened. Francis Ortega. And Francis Ortega, let's connect. Folks, I'm looking for people who have a passion for helping people. If you're an entrepreneur, if you love helping people, let's connect. I would love for you to be sharing this with people. Folks, I want you guys to understand that fasting can be something simple and easy that you can do. It's not hard. In fact, what I use every day actually helps me to fast longer. And the more you fast, the better your body's going to feel. Remember, high insulin can be high for 10 to 20 years, right? Because what happens is we're repeating the same cycle every single day. And so we never give our insulin a chance to come down. See, you know what's interesting is when we think of viruses and candida and bacteria and even the harmful C letter, right? The C word that we celebrate in October. Do you guys realize that thrives in high insulin environments and high sugar environments? So if you and I are eating literally all the time, all day, you guys realize that we're feeding those harmful cells? But when you fast, guess what you're doing? You're depriving those harmful cells of what it needs. And if you deprive something long enough of what it needs, what happens to those harmful cells? Don't they die off? They do. You guys realize this is why they don't teach us how to fix the root cause? Right? Folks, how many of you know somebody with type 3 diabetes? Type 3 diabetes is something that my mom is struggling with. And if this runs in your family, pay attention to that one, because folks, I would never wish that upon anyone. It's Alzheimer's, it's dementia. It's insulin resistance of the brain of an adult, right? Too much sugar in the brain of a child, folks. We know what that is. It's ADHD. It's, lack of concentration. They're all over the place, right? Here's the good news, folks. You don't have to wait to improve your health. The reality, when I think about this, seriously, okay? When you think about the things that we have, okay? Most people don't realize, folks, okay, that, the graveyard is full of people who thought that they had another day. And this is why I share what it is that I share, because most people just don't know, what's causing these issues. Most people don't feel sick, they feel fine, right? And that's the problem, because insulin resistance doesn't hurt until it does. And what I do is educate people on simple daily habits, right? Daily habits that can help you to stabilize your blood sugar, that can help you to reduce your insulin spikes. It can improve your energy and your sleep. Okay? And, I never thought about this before, but I mean, seriously, think about this. Okay? The cemetery is full of people who thought they had more time, ladies and gentlemen. People who believe that tomorrow was guaranteed. But here's the truth. Right now is the only moment you actually have. We tell ourselves, hey, tomorrow I'll call. Tomorrow I'll apologize. Tomorrow I'll take my health seriously. But folks, tomorrow isn't promised. You don't know what this day will bring. You don't know what this year will bring. And thinking that you're healthy and wealthy doesn't make you immune. Right? The graveyard is full of people who thought the exact same thing. So let me ask you something real. Like, if you've been putting your health on hold, saying I'll deal with it later, later may cost you more than you realize. This is why I share what it is that I share. Folks, I don't use meds. My energy levels are through the roof. I feel amazing. I feel like I'm 20 years younger. I've lost 32 pounds by just making simple daily changes. Going for a simple walk, right, Fiden? You guys realize that even after eating a meal, when you go for a simple walk, it lowers your glucose spike by close to 40% just by that, going for a 10, 15-minute walk. The best time to change is the moment that you realize you still can, which is why I share what it is that I share. Folks, and this is why insulin resistance is so dangerous, because it whispers, you've got time, no pain, no symptoms at first, until one day there's consequences. If this hits you even a little, type now in the chat. Folks, I use a simple system. I sip on a chlorogenic tea that has the yerba mate tea in it. It's amazing. It tastes great. I'm not a tea drinker. I really actually don't like tea. And I love what it is that I sip on, because it works. It shuts the food noise off. Folks, how many of you, and Grim Destroyer, my heart goes out to you. Keep fighting. Don't quit. Folks, think about this, okay? Think about this. We don't know what we don't know. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, which is why I share what I share with people. right? Type 2 diabetes, prediabetes. That's a huge red flag, folks. But here's the truth. These symptoms aren't just normal aging. It's your body telling you that something's off. And most likely you know what's causing it, right? How many of you have been told by a doctor, right, to move more and eat less, right? Calories in, calories out approach. Folks, if I'm eating 1,500 calories a day and I'm going to the gym and I'm burning 2,000 calories a day, that would be a 500 calorie deficit each day. Okay. You know, Tez, I really appreciate you hopping on this live, and you really don't know what you're talking about. So goodbye. Folks, at the end of the day, you can fix and improve your health in ways that medications are never going to fix. Okay. You know, it was interesting. There was a study that was done at the Carnegie Institute of Washington back in 1919, where people dropped their calories by 25%. Well, guess what happened to these people? People couldn't stop thinking about food, right? They were, you guys ever remember those Snickers commercials, right? Those Snickers commercials where people turn into monster when they're hungry. It was the same vibe. But it wasn't just hunger. People started losing muscle too. See, if you're trying to lose weight and you're only focused on the scale, you're setting yourself up, because that number on the scale doesn't tell you if you're losing fat or muscle. So here's where it gets deeper. When you drastically cut your calories, your body doesn't just burn fat, it actually starts breaking down your muscles. It lowers your cardiac stroke output. It slows your immune system by up to 50%. This is one of the reasons why when you're sick, you feel weak and sluggish, right? You just want to curl up in the fetal position, watch a movie. And here's what's crazier is, right, when your insulin stays high, your body stores fat. It suppresses your body's natural defense system. So everything from viruses to the C cells to candida, right? It loves sugar and it loves high insulin environments. And so if you and I are eating these 3 meals a day and we're snacking 2 to 3 times throughout the day, and you wonder why we have the issues that we have today, this is why. It's not from a lack of willpower. It's not because you're lazy. It's because our insulin has broken us, right? Folks, you can have normal blood sugar on your labs. Your labs could look normal and you can still be sick, which is why most people are being completely blindsided by a diagnosis when they go to the doctor. It's the silent setup. Now let's get to the key point, right? When you go for long periods of time without eating and you avoid these glucose spikes, guess what? You're avoiding insulin spike. You're allowing the insulin levels to come down. You're allowing the inflammation to come down. Folks, it's not about eating less food, right? They tell you to eat smaller meals, right? Keeps your metabolism up. No, it's actually the opposite. It's not about eating less food. It's about eating less often. We've got to give ourselves a break from insulin. If you're eating all day long, your insulin's always up here. And when you go to bed, right, your insulin starts to come down. Insulin, I want you to understand something about glucose and insulin. Insulin moves up and down really fast like a rabbit. Insulin, on the other hand, when it goes up and down, it moves like a turtle. It moves very slowly. So when insulin goes up, it takes a long time for it to come down. And by the time you wake up in the morning and the insulin's come down, well, guess what? You're repeating the cycle. How many of us were told that breakfast was the most important meal of the day? So we're constantly spiking our insulin, our glucose, right? Well, if that's the case, folks, you're never allowing your body the insulin to come down. So your body is constantly storing fat. See, when you fast, your body can actually start tapping into the stored fat. It can start to utilize that as fuel. Our body needs fuel, right? This is one of the reasons why when you wake up, you might feel hungry. Your body needs energy. Well, how do we get our energy? Do we get it from the foods? Do we get it from the coffees, the sugars, the creams, right, that we put in that? Do you guys realize that when you fast, your body can actually start tapping into your stored energy, your stored calories, and it can actually use that, okay? It can actually use that, okay, as fuel. It can use that for energy, which is amazing. And this is why I do what I do. Folks, I'm not here to convince you to use the system I use. If you want it, it works. It's great, right? Tom Jones, OMAD's great. Okay. What I use is awesome. It works in addition to what people might already be doing. And here's the truth, folks. If you are willing to try it, you know what's crazy is that the company gives everybody who's willing to try it 90 days to try it. And if it doesn't work, guess what? You get your money back. You lose nothing. Folks, I'm not here to tell you to order it. If you want it, it works. It's great. Your doctor can actually look it up in the PDR. Isn't that crazy? What I use, this simple system, this simple fiber and this tea. You know what's crazy is your doctor can actually look this up in the PDR. It's crazy that this is listed in the same area that medications are listed. But doctors never talk to you about something that's safe and natural, right? They give you a medication. And when that medication doesn't work, guess what they do? They give you more meds. Now, folks, at the end of the day, my goal is to just share something that can impact your life in a positive way. I made a promise to God that I would share everything that I've learned to help as many people as I possibly can. This is why I do this. I love it. I just wish I knew about this 20 years ago. My brother and my dad would still be here. My friends who I've lost would still be here, right? My goal is to help prevent this from happening, folks. I want to help prevent, and by the way, here's a good book that I recommend, Why We Get Sick by Dr. Benjamin Bickman, okay? But this is what I want to prevent, folks. This is my dad, right? This was my dad. I miss my dad. And my dad passed away from something that could have been prevented. Here's a buddy of mine. Look at this picture, okay? My buddy was a distinguished Navy pilot. He was an American Airlines pilot. Like, this was a guy who I used to go flying with. Like, you know, it was interesting. I used to have flight benefits with American Airlines, and he was a pilot, and he said, "Hey, Troy, I'm flying to he'd be flying somewhere, and he's like, "Hey, there's seats open. Do you want to be on the plane?" I mean, this guy was younger than I was, folks. And his life was cut short way too soon from something that could have been prevented. My goal when I get on here is to help prevent this from happening. Folks, this is why I do this. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I've had to come on these lives and share information that I know is making an impact in people's life. And that's what this is all about. Folks, what I use is simple. It's safe. It's easy, right? The information's in my bio, okay? This is what I built Health Coach Troy for, is to help people understand what we can do to improve our health naturally. I mean, how many of you, when you go to a doctor, your doctor's talking to you about natural alternatives? Most of you probably don't even know that there is a natural alternative because doctors don't talk about it. My doctor didn't. You know, when I was on this for 5 months, when I went back to my nephrologist, my doctor said, "I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it." Folks, this is why I continue to share this, because at the end of the day, most people don't realize that you can improve your health without the need for meds or diets. Diets don't work. In my opinion, they don't work long term. They might work temporarily, but folks, anybody can white knuckle a diet for 2 weeks and lose weight and then stop the diet and you gain it back, okay? And folks, if you want the information, here's my information. Text me, 480-531-6802. That's my number. I'm happy to share this information with you. Go to healthcoachtroy.com. Folks, this is why I teach and I share this information with people, because at the end of the day, you have an opportunity. You should know that there's a solution to the problem. Guys, look at the food guides, right? Do you guys realize that they changed the food guides? What they did is they took the original food guide, the pyramid, and they flipped that upside down. Isn't that interesting? They flipped it upside down. Remember, the base was 6 to 11 servings of whole grains and bread and pastas. You guys realize that when you eat that, that's why so many people are metabolically sick? right? They never teach you to have fiber first, to have salads, to have greens, vegetables, right? It's crazy. And basically what they've done is they flipped the pyramid upside down, which they should have done to begin with. Folks, I want you to understand that when you eat more fruits and vegetables, right? And having the right fruits, right? There's a lot of fruits that if you're insulin resistant, it's just as bad. Riza, thank you so much for that. I just got restricted, but that's okay. I get restricted every day. And it's because I'm teaching the truth and they don't like it when I teach the truth. Folks, if you want to be on your meds, knock yourself out. Meds are never going to fix the root cause of your health issues, ever. And what I love about this simple chlorogenic tea that I mix with water and this fiber that was created by Rexall drugs, you guys realize that you just mix this with water and you sip it, you drink it. That's it. And it works. And it's in the PDR. Folks, we are the only company in the world that have 2 natural products that are listed in the PDR that doctors are prescribing metformin and Ozempic. You guys realize that when you fast, you can actually improve cancer. You can actually start to fight those cancer cells. And yet I'm restricted because I'm teaching you the truth. See, doctors want you to be on meds. They want you to be on your medications, folks. Medications is what makes them money. They don't care about your health. I hope you realize this. We've been teaching have fiber first, have your protein and fat second, and save carbs for last. And now they just came out with the food guide that is teaching that exact thing now. You guys realize why this pisses me off is because every time you go to a doctor, all they're doing is treating the symptom. Guys, we had over 100 people in this live. Now we've got not very many because of the restriction. They don't like it when I teach the truth. I'm going to continue to teach the truth regardless of whether I'm restricted every single day. Folks, if you want to fix and improve your health, just try the Feel Great system for 90 days. If it doesn't work, you get your money back. Folks, it's not expensive. If you think $5 is expensive every single day, you're wrong. It's not expensive. Just wait till you're sick and you'll see what expensive is. Breakfast, right? How many of us were told by this corporation, Kellogg's, that breakfast was the most important meal of the day, right? They told us to start our day with a bowl of cereal and carbs, pour milk on it, put bananas in it, right? You guys realize that those corporations used to pay doctors to claim that bananas were rich in potassium? Bananas are actually not rich in potassium. They're actually one of the worst fruits to eat if you are insulin resistant. Berries are better, right? Eating an apple with the fiber or the skin wrapped, it's the fiber, right? The food industry, right? A lot of the foods that we eat today, they've stripped the fiber from our foods. Guys, what I'm teaching you is the truth. What I'm teaching you are things that your doctor should teach you, but they won't because they don't make money by helping you get healthy. Why do they even call it healthcare? It's BS. It's not healthcare, it's sick care. They keep you healthy enough to need a refill on your prescription. Guys, I hope that this is making sense, right? They used to tell us to start our day with carbs. Carbs is what leads to diabetes. Diabetes is what leads to cardiovascular disease and heart attack and strokes. It's what leads to Alzheimer's and dementia. It leads to a bunch of medications that are never going to help you get better. I hope you realize that. I lost my dad early, my brother early. My mom has got Alzheimer's and dementia. Folks, I want you to be on this because if you are on this, you would be blown away by how fast and how well it improves your health. And guys, the best part about this is that if it doesn't work, you get your money back. This isn't, you're going to a doctor and your doctor's giving you a medication that has that has side effects. How many of you have ever seen a medication with 0 side effects and a 90-day money back guarantee? You don't see it because it doesn't exist. How many of you, before you've even had, right, the nurse or the assistant is taking you back into the room waiting for the doctor? How many of you, they ask questions, hey, which pharmacy do you want us to send the prescription to? Guys, you haven't even had a chance to talk to your doctor and they're already talking to you about a prescription? The pharmacy? Really? Folks, if you went to your family reunion, right, both sides of the family are there. your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your siblings, your kids. How many people there at the family reunion are struggling with their health? And all we do is we slap a Band-Aid on it, right? You can't put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Medications will never fix your issues, folks. And if you want to be on your meds because your insurance pays for it for free, knock yourself out. You're killing yourself is basically what you're doing. Because what happens is that insulin resistance, those medications will eventually destroy your liver and your kidneys and your heart and everything else. Folks, medications aren't the answer. Fasting, getting more fiber, allowing your body the opportunity to heal is what actually heals your body. It heals your gut. But if you and I are on a bunch of medications because, well, that's what the doctor's given us, folks, go look up how much education, how many hours of nutrition that a doctor gets who's become a doctor. It's literally nothing. They are trained to treat the symptoms. That's it. And they do it with a prescription. Guys, there's these corporations, these big pharma. Do you guys realize that they'll go into the doctor's office? There's a quota that these doctors have to prescribe every single month or every quarter in order to get paid. Does that mean that when your doctor's sitting down with you that they have your best interest at hand or their own? Doctors make money by prescribing meds, folks. And that's it. Folks, if you want to be on your meds, knock yourself out. I do not like meds. Meds are not going to fix your issues. Better eating, fasting, giving yourself time. Folks, we don't need 3 meals a day. And we certainly don't need to snack throughout the day like we're toddlers. We're not babies. We don't need to snack throughout the day. But that's our society, right? Start your day with a bowl of cereal. Guys, you realize that if you start your day with a bowl of cereal, that it wrecks the entire day. If you start your day with carbs or sugar, it wrecks your entire day. And see, right? They don't like me teaching this, which is why I get restricted. Good morning, Miji. Folks, I'm grateful for the 25 that are still in this live because you might know somebody that is affected by this or yourself. And if you are, folks, give this a try. You will be blown away. In fact, when you get on this and it works, I want you to partner up with me because there's a lot of people that need this. If you're looking for something, you just found it, right? If you know somebody that is not happy with their job, maybe they're looking for something else, will you please send them my way? Will you share my information with them? Folks, if you are looking for a natural, safe way to improve your metabolic health that doesn't require you to be on meds or be on some crazy diets that don't work, what I've just shared with you is an absolute game changer, and it works. And we can prove through that it works. In fact, for those of you that are checking your blood, your glucose levels yourself, right? Maybe you're going to your doctor and they're checking your A1C. Do you guys realize that your blood work doesn't lie? Your blood work can actually prove that the Feel Great system actually works. It's been studied by more than 24 world-renowned institutions. There's over 30 clinical studies on the Feel Great system. And yet hardly any of you even know that this chlorogenic tea and this fiber actually exists because nobody's talking about it. But you've got a bunch of people on social media that are talking about it. But you guys put a little bit of faith in those people because you'd rather listen to a doctor that just wants to put you on meds. How's that working out for you guys? By the way, if you're in the United States and you have HSA or FSA, do you guys realize that you can actually use your HSA or FSA to purchase this? It's $5 a day. Absolutely, Becky, even if you are healthy, even if you have a clean bill of slate, this is a great preventative tool. See, most of us react by the time, we're sick. And that's the problem with the world today, right? Seriously, think about this. Guys, the cemetery is full of people who thought that they had more time. People who believe that tomorrow was guaranteed, right? Tomorrow I'll take my health seriously. But tomorrow isn't promised. Folks, even if you're healthy, you can take this. I've been on this product for 2 years. I will never stop taking it. I'll never stop taking it. And if you guys want the information, send me a text. I will send you the details. If you want to jump on a call, call me. Let's have a conversation. Folks, if you're looking for something, you just found it. Even if you're on meds, folks, there's no contraindications with this system. It is safe. You could be on 100 different medications and the Feel Great system still works because it works with your biology, not against it. And folks, if you've been putting off your health on hold, saying that I'll deal with it later, later may cost you more than you realize. Okay, this isn't fear, this is awareness, right? Because the best time to change is the moment that you realize you still can. There's a lot of people that are in the graveyard that wish that they had more time. And this is why insulin resistance is so dangerous, because it whispers, hey, you've got time, Troy. No pain. There's no pain. You've got no symptoms until one day there's consequences. And by the way, folks, your doctor can literally look this up in the physician's desk reference. They can look this up in the PDR.net. It's public information. And Becky, send me a text and I'll send you the link. If you guys want to jump on a call, I'll jump on a call with you. Folks, it's $5 a day, comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. If it doesn't work, folks, I will help you get your money back. This isn't about making a sell. I could care less about that. Folks, I wish that everybody in the world knew about this, because if they knew about it, you know, think of it this way. If a doctor had 100 patients get on the Feel Great system, you guys realize that that doctor in 90 days would be looking for a new job if that was his main income, is customers, patients on meds? That doctor would need to find another job. And again, I'm not saying that I'm anti-doctor and I'm not anti-medicine. I'm anti-ignoring the root cause. A doctor is not teaching you what the root cause is. They don't care about the root cause. They care about putting you on a prescription because that's what your symptoms, right? They diagnose, oh, well, this is what you have. Here's a medication that can help you. Guys, I'm not interested in helping you. I'm helping you I want to fix the issue, right? When you go to a mechanic because you've got an oil leak, you're not interested in having the mechanic put duct tape on your oil tank. No, you want them to fix it. You want to prevent the oil leaks. You're not going to fix it by putting duct tape on it. You fix it by fixing it. And most people don't realize that you can actually improve and fix your health. Type 2 diabetes, folks, you can reverse it all day long. I've seen hundreds of people do it. I've seen people reverse neuropathy. Becky, I just got your text, and I'll text you. Folks, look at my buddy Jimmy. He reversed non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. He's improved his health. I know some of you can't see it on here. Folks, he's off his meds. His thyroid was removed 11 years ago. He's off of 8 medications, down to 88 pounds, erectile dysfunction, acid reflux, depression, sleep apnea gone, blood pressure is gone, type 2 diabetes gone. Look at Blenda. Just look at the 2 different pictures. Folks, if you are looking for something, you just found it. You don't have to keep looking. Look at Claudia. She was a type 2 diabetic for 23 years taking metformin. Guess what? She's not on metformin anymore. You guys realize that what I'm sipping right here, this chlorogenic tea, is actually a natural metformin. It's also a natural Ozempic. You guys realize that the fiber that was created by Rexall drugs way back in the day is a natural statin, does the exact same thing, but without the side effects. I hope you guys understand this is why doctors want you to be on meds. They're not worried about fixing the root cause, folks. This is why I teach this. Folks, I'm living proof that you can improve your health in ways that don't require meds. And if you want what I have, awesome. It'll bless your life in ways that you couldn't even imagine. And folks, the best part about it is if I'm lying about all of this, you can still try it for 90 days. And if it doesn't work, you get all of your money back. What I can tell you is it works. There's hundreds, thousands of people around the world that are using the Feel Great system. Why? Because it works. It's not another supplement gimmick. It actually works. It works. Guys, we're the only company in the world that has these 2 simple products that are listed as a nutraceutical in the PDR? Because it works. And I'm living proof. I had stage 4 kidney disease. I had migraines for 23 years that went away in the first week. I lost weight. I'm sleeping better at night. And folks, if you want to fix the root cause, I've just given you the tools to do it. Okay. Folks, thank you so much for being on this live. I hate it when I get restricted, but I'm still going to keep teaching the truth no matter what it looks like. Okay. But I really do appreciate each and every one of you for hopping on this live today. If there's anything that I can do to help you, please let me know. Becky, hopefully you've gotten the information now that I just sent to be able to do that. Okay. Folks, thank you so much. I hope you guys have an amazing day. If you're not already following me, please hit the follow button. Share this with somebody that you know that needs to hear this. And again, if you guys want to jump on a call, I'm happy to do that. Okay. I'll stay on for another minute or two, just in the event you guys have questions.